Welcome back to the Zach Djellab channel, ladies and gentlemen. It is transfer deadline day, so I've brought in the hottest pundits possible. Yes. Patrick Van Straten, Henry Hill. Henry, you're wearing your yellow shirt because it's deadline day. Good thinking. How are you doing?
Yes, that was exactly my thinking. I'm excited to see how you're going to introduce us. We're currently your best men, your best friends. I mean, and now with the hottest pundits on YouTube. So, yeah.
Where's the line?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just stating facts. Patrice, how's your week been?
It's all good, man. It's all good. I'm off on holiday next week.
You are indeed.
You are
indeed.
I'm going to Portugal with my girls, with my in-laws. Should be good.
Amazing. I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it will be. Well, yes, guys, as you can see, it is deadline day today. So we have thought to do a video where we go through every single transfer that has happened to the Premier League so far this window. It's a big one. And then we're going to be ranking the club and how they've done in this transfer window and whether we think they've improved. And we'll do a grade system, give them an A, B, C, D. I'm sure when we get to Chelsea, there'll be a lot to be said. But let's do it alphabetically then and kick things off with Arsenal, because currently, do we want to do the outgoings?
Can you find it's AFC Bournemouth?
Always
come first.
Race through the out.
I think they put them in B.
Race through the outgoings, I reckon. Then we'll focus on the incomings.
Okay, cool. Because I do think the grade system should maybe have some say as well on the outgoings, because that is quite important, especially in Arsenal's case, who look like they're going to be sending Aaron Ramsdale on loan to Southampton and then getting, I think, possibly an obligation to buy if they stay up, I think is the possible contract terms.
Sure.
Emile Smith-Rowe over to Fulham. And then apart from that, there's not really been much.
Nketiah to Crystal Palace.
It's not 100% confirmed yet when we're recording this, but Nketiah to Crystal Palace does look like that will be happening as well for close to 30 million. Then the ins. Ricardo Calafiori, 45 million euros. Mikel Merino, 32 million euros. David Raya, I mean, that's been confirmed. So those are the two big ones. Patrick, as the resident Arsenal fan, how do we feel about the window in general? Because you now have an injury to Gabby Jesus. And I was looking at that bench against Aston Villa, I was thinking,
thin.
Yeah, not that strong, actually.
Didn't matter, though. It had the one guy on it.
Indeed.
Who wins you the game.
Yes, you did. So how do we feel about Arsenal's window?
It's all right. Like, it's not terrible. Like, it looks like they might have upgraded, like, that left-back slot. You'd hope they have, though. When Calafiori came on the other day, he immediately got rinsed, like, 3 times in a row. It was very funny. But he did rattle Villa fans, which, I don't know. To be fair, that's very easy. But Arsenal have addressed that position. Fine. I think that's good. Like, that was a problem point for them last season. I think Mikel Merino is actually a really good signing. There have been a lot of Arsenal fans who kind of wanted a 6 and they wanted Rice to play as an 8. But Merino has been playing for a long time now as much more of a kind of left 8 role. Like, he gets forward quite a lot. He wins headers and brings the ball down higher up the pitch. You expect him to help retain possession around the edge of the box. And essentially his role, I think, is going to be to win aerial duels, to do a little bit of defending and in the counter press, and pretty much when he gets the ball to play it into the channel for Martinelli or Trossard, whoever's playing there. Merino can do all that stuff. So I think in that sense, he's a good signing. It's about market rate. It's slightly more than I'd like, but it's not terrible. It's fine. He's an okay age. Like, I'd like him to be younger, but again, you get 3 to 4 years out of him. That's totally fine. The bigger issue is that Arsenal have not upgraded their attack. So I think Arsenal fans have been obsessed by a striker, and I don't really think that's necessarily the position of need, but Arsenal needed one more. Gabriel Jesus can probably play on the right wing if Saka gets injured. And bear in mind, Arsenal beat City without Saka last season. But you don't want to do that for a long period of time. And more importantly, it's just a bit thin. Like, we'll come on to Liverpool later on, but Liverpool have 2 players in every position across that front line, plus some other guys in there. Like Elliot, Szoboszlai. Even Brighton, we were talking about, will also come on to them. Like, huge attacking depth. But Arsenal are going into this season, currently, with a downgraded attack. Because I don't love Fabio Vieira, but Fabio Vieira got a few goal involvements in limited minutes last season. Eddie Nketiah, I think it's good money, good time to sell. Like, I'm totally fine with that. But Eddie Nketiah got 5 goals for Arsenal last season as well. And the problem is, if he goes, who plays instead? Like, somebody is going to need to soak up those minutes.
Yeah.
And those either go on the shoulders of guys who have already played a lot, or they go on somebody else.
Is Reece Nelson still there?
He's
Nelson
still
is
there
still
at the
there.
moment, yeah.
And if it's not Nketiah, then you're looking at like maybe a youth player or something like that. Is quite concerning.
Ethan Nwaneri is,
but he's
attacking midfielder more.
Yeah,
so,
he's a
isn't he?
midfielder.
Not a winger.
He's like more. He's kind of like an 8.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah.
So you can get some minutes out of him, but he's not covered for the front line because it's not like you can push him. You know, you can push him up to play 10 and put Odegaard up front or something.
Yeah.
You know. So I think like that is a bit of a concern for me because last season Arsenal's attack it was about level with
Scored the
City.
most goals in the league, didn't you?
No, City did.
Okay,
City had 96, we had 91.
Okay.
But by the underlying numbers, Liverpool had the best attack, then City, then us. And we weren't far away.
Yeah.
We were relatively far away from Liverpool. But like that doesn't necessarily matter if you've got the best defence in the league. But we overperformed our expected goals, as do all the top teams generally. So I would have tried to say, well, let's try and boost our underlying numbers in the hope that then if our expected goal, that our goals, if they come down a bit, will be coming down from a kind of higher threshold, if that makes sense. So Arsenal, I think, did need an attacker. And look, if you're watching this and Arsenal have gone and done, they've signed... Like,
Johan Bakayoko's joined.
They've looked at Bakayoko, they've looked at Lookman,
Sterling.
Yeah, Sterling and Coman. I actually think either one of those would be great. Like, I don't get the hatred for the Sterling thing, to be honest with you. I think he's an excellent player still. If they went and did something like that, then I'd say great. That's really, really good. And they also need to get in a competent backup keeper.
Yes.
But there's a guy they've wanted all summer, Juan Garcia. It looks like it would be relatively easy to close that deal. So broadly, it's okay. But Arsenal were the best team in the league last season by underlying numbers, right? But didn't win, like undeniably by underlying numbers, they were the best team in the league. But they didn't win the league.
Yeah.
Well, in order to win the league this season, I think you kind of need to be the best by underlying numbers again. And as it looks currently, I think Arsenal are probably the second best team in the league, you know? So I don't really see anything that I think is going to change them from second to first. Unless Gabriel Jesus comes back and then is just fit for the rest of the season, which actually I think is always a bit of an underrated factor. However, no injuries to Saliba, to Rice, like Saka, Odegaard last season, really. Like, those guys, the chances of shit happening with one of those guys are quite high.
Especially when you're playing in such top-tier competitions as well.
So basically, Arsenal's first 11, I think, is actually probably better than it was last season.
Yeah.
But they've left themselves really, really open to something bad happening and completely derailing the season. They've only got themselves to blame for that. So if they get an injury and they end up not winning the league this season, then I think that's completely on the club. Because it wouldn't be a freak accident. It would be something that's baked into the squad. There is a fragility.
But if, say, like a Saliba gets injured, that's where you've got a Ben White.
Yeah, sure.
Side.
Yeah, that's
fine.
fine.
There is depth, but it is that forward line more so, though.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely the forward line. Like,
okay.
The forward line is just a little bit thin.
Yeah.
And Arsenal could just use one more player. I mean, like, look, Arsenal looked at Nico Williams, and our fans love Nico Williams. Yeah. But Arsenal fans were convinced as well that he would come in and be like this amazing player immediately. And I think he's considerably more raw than
People
Arsenal fans realise, because they watch him at the Euros, which is a simplified version of football. And also because when you watch your players every week, you know what their strengths and weaknesses are. When there's a player you watch only occasionally, you kind of really only notice their strengths.
Yeah.
You don't see the stuff that frustrates you.
Yeah.
So, look, Nico Williams would still be great, but my point is that Arsenal fans got themselves into this mindset that, like, whoever came in would immediately improve, like, the left wing, and they'd be better. I think Martinelli will be better this season.
So, what do you think of him? Because he didn't have the best of games against Aston Villa, did he?
You say that, but he still had like 0.6 expected assists, like, and that's in like him having a bad game. Like, I don't really want him out on the wing.
Yeah,
like, I do think he's best as an inside forward. But Martinelli last season had exactly the same underlying numbers as the season before, like 0.6 expected goals and assists per 90 minutes. He got 10 goal involvements in about 2,000 minutes. Underlying numbers suggested he should have had 13-14.
Did he have an injury last season as well?
He always gets injured a bit. But like, if he'd had 13-14, then I don't think you could really argue that his season was particularly bad. And actually, his progressive carrying and stuff really shot up. In fact, all his numbers went up last season. All of them. So I expect that if he's fit this season, he's going to have a really good campaign. I don't see any reason not to think that, especially because he and Saka are now 23.
Okay.
And 23 is often when inconsistent young players become very consistent, excellent, top performers.
Yeah.
23 to 24 is kind of the beginning of peak age, right? So young players always have these ups and downs. I wouldn't be surprised to see them get better. And even Saliba could get better this season.
Yeah,
He's at that same age as well.
He was fantastic against Aston Villa, Jesus. Henry, I'm going to give you the grading opportunity here. For Arsenal's window.
Pat gave such a good...
biased fan. And also, I think, again, you can keep in mind the sales.
Yeah,
it's probably been one of Arsenal's best sale windows as well.
I like the fact they've actually started to get good value for some of their fringe players. I like the fact that Marino is 28 and actually they bought a guy who's just ready to go, not a project. At this point, they just need players who can come in and push them over the line in that title push. So I like Marino in that regard. I completely agree about the forward situation. I know that people love like Havertz, and I actually really respect Havertz as a player too, but I don't think it's a bad thing to have competition for him in that attacking role. Everyone's like, oh no, he'll be fine. He might. His numbers show that he could score 20 across the whole season. It's like he could score 20 across the whole season, but you might as well get another striker that can help push that process along. So I'm going to give it a B. I think B is a respectable.
I think that's quite generous, yeah.
B.
Okay.
Because they haven't gone crazy, and I like the fact that like sometimes you don't need to reinvent the wheel with this.
Well, the squad's also really, really good. Like, it's not like it's missing...
Timber being back as well, I think is really good.
That's almost like a new signing in itself.
And you forget as well how bad Havertz was at the beginning of last season and how good he was at the end.
Yeah.
They ended up with 20 goal involvements in the league, but like... I think his first one was that penalty he got given, like basically to give him like
I told you, I interviewed him in October. I said, Kai, what's going on, pal? And then after that,
the arm around his shoulder.
After that, he played really well.
Yeah, he was on fire. So that's all we got to do: schedule an interview for you
with Henry Hill,
please.
Kai Havertz, and soon to be Jeff Hurst.
Yes.
Okay, Aston Villa. Then let's talk about them because they've been one of the busy boys in the window, bringing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players. One being Ross Barkley, Lewis Dobbin, who's a 21-year-old left winger, Samuel Illing Jr., who's now gone out on loan, Jadon Philogene, who's on the bench against Arsenal, Cameron Archer, Ian Maatson, Amadou Onana. I'm not going to call him Andre.
So really it's 6 transfers because Cameron Archer's also kind of gone on the move as well.
Very true. They sold Moussa Diaby. They sold Douglas Luiz. They sold Cameron Archer, another youngster, to Everton, Morgan Sanson, a few other transfers out as well. So they brought in around 145 million euros in sales.
They sold really well.
And then they've spent 176. So net... Yeah.
I think for the money they've spent, the squad hasn't improved as much as I'd like to see it. It's just more just depth that I think they've really gone after because competing on multiple fronts, expanded Champions League. Do I really think this team is exponentially better than last season? No, I don't think it is. But I think the key to this team is the manager. I think the key to there's a few like star players for that side, like Ross Barkley. These a lot of these are sensible signings which bulk out positions, but I thought they played okay against Arsenal. Obviously, Watkins should be scoring.
Morgan Rogers was incredible.
Morgan Rogers was really good, and that was great. Great to see him up there. So maybe a breakout star of this season there. So yeah, I mean, I'm not overwhelmed for the money spent. I'm not overwhelmed by.
Who do you think is the transfer there that could be the? Well, I guess arguably it's either between. I mean, Ealing Jr. is not a bad little player.
Yeah, but he's obviously gone out.
He's gone out on loan. Exactly.
He's gone on loan to another Champions League club as well, which is seems like very weird talent evaluation.
Yeah, he went out to Bologna. Amadou Onana and Ian Maatson were the ones that spent, I guess, a lot of money on.
Well, Matson's hardly even played for them yet. So far, I think Onana has obviously got that goal in the first game.
Yeah,
he has the biggest sort of pressure on his shoulders, replacing Douglas Luiz in the middle of the park. He's essentially been there to shore up the space in front of the centre halves. I mean, how did you think he played against Arsenal, Pat? Because I think Onana, during the Euros, when isolated, is not particularly great. I think some teams figured out how in the Euros to sort of get him by himself, and then he looks a bit more fragile. He needs players around him to really sort of thrive, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Arsenal were able to play through them relatively easily. And then I don't know. I think Arsenal's plan as well was kind of shaken by the Jesus injury because I think originally the plan would have been to play Jesus and play Havertz deeper, and I think that would have been really interesting because that would have required probably Onana to track Havertz's off-ball runs into the box. So in a way, I think that was kind of fortunate for him personally. He's all right, but I don't think you buy him because you think he's going to be like spectacular in this fixture or that fixture over the course of the season. I think they bought him because they were like, he is at an age where he's already a good player but could turn into a really great player, and we can get him now.
Yeah.
I think that the attack is not amazing. Like Ollie Watkins and Leon Bailey had amazing seasons last year, the best seasons of their career, and on top of that, they still finished at like, they were hot, both of them. You know, like Ollie Watkins got 32 goal involvements from 24 XG. Bailey got 19 from 15. Like, look, you can say that this is like good finishing, but it doesn't. But that's not true of the rest of their careers. Like the rest of their career, they're like in line with their numbers. So both of them had like amazing seasons, and they got hot on top of that. And like that's how they managed to get top four, because the defense was so bad. So I think they needed to shore up the defense. And Onana, I think, is a better defensive presence than Luiz.
Yes.
But in attack, Diaby, I think, is a good contract to get out from under. Like, he wasn't amazing last season, and he was injured a lot, and they basically got their money back.
Yeah.
They sold really well this summer. But now you've got Philogene like playing instead of him. And Rodgers. And like maybe one of those guys is great, but like probably not amazing. Like probably not like 12 to 15 goals in the league, like one of them. So that is a bit of an issue. And they also wanted, you know, they've been linked with Sterling, they've been linked with Joao Felix, like they've been linked with a bunch of guys. None of those people have come in, and I do just sort of look at the wings and I think, so the plan here is like Bailey's going to be amazing again. Like maybe that works, but if it doesn't, then you'll basically start with like Ollie Watkins and a bunch of okay guys. And like Philogene has got lots of ability, but like 0.4 expected goals in the championship. It's not like, wow, my God.
Levels.
You know, like those are worse than Diaby's numbers were in the Bundesliga.
Yeah.
So I would have liked them to get another forward in. Though I think, and also I think fullback, like Maatsen is a great pickup.
Did they maybe look at Maatsen?
But he's not defensive.
Could they play Maatsen on the wing?
But you've bought wingers. Like it's not that they haven't bought wingers. It's just they've bought wingers who need to develop and who I'm not convinced about yet. Like Maatsen's good, but like you look at Maatsen and now like Nedeljkovic like playing at right back, who's 18, like with Cash injured. I think the defense needed to get better. It gave up 60 XG last season. That's terrible. Is it gonna be better? Like because maybe Onana and some coaching from Emery does it, but like it's I struggle to see it in the signings. So like. I have quite a lot of question marks about Villa. I still think they'll be like fine, but with Champions League as well, I think fine might be 5th to 8th rather than like
top
4th.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Okay, Pat. Well, I'll let you give Aston Villa the grade. What would you like to give them?
I'll probably, I don't know. You gave Arsenal a B though, and I think that was quite. I'm not sure I can really give them like a C if Arsenal are getting a B.
Why?
Yeah, I will. I'll give them a C+.
Okay.
No, I'll give them a B-.
A B-?
Because fundamentally, they've spent 30 mil net.
Yep.
And
they've sold really well.
And I do think like they've made good signings for the future. So I think broadly that's good.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Well, there we have it. Guys, let me know as well what you guys think of all of these transfers.
2 players in. 2 teams in. Right?
2 teams
Where
in.
are we?
End of the on to Bournemouth. Just quickly to mention as well, Pat did say about the goalkeeper that they're looking to bring in. It looks like they've just submitted a £20 million bid for Garcia. Apparently his release clause is 30, so we'll see what happens.
Where's he from?
Espanyol, right?
Espanyol, indeed, yes. Trying to keep up to date with a few transfers
We
that
only
may break.
sign Basque and Catalan players.
That's
like, genuinely.
Trying to keep up to date with a few things as well. We'll get on to LaCroix later. Okay, back to Bournemouth. AFC Bournemouth. They have currently brought in Evan Nilsson, striker, United after him ages ago. I think they were quoted like 80 million quid back then. He's been brought in for 37 million
they spent a lot
euros.
That's a lot.
Yeah, though. We'll get on to that in a second. Luis Sinisterra, he's come in for 23 million euros. Enis Unal has come in for 16. Dean Huijsen, the centre-back from Juve, 15 million euros. Julian Arejo from Barcelona, 10 million euros. And a goalkeeper, Alex Paulson, 2.2 million euros from Australia. They've also sold Dominic Solanke, 64 million euros, and Kiefer Moore, 1.79 million euros. They did lose, though, Lloyd Kelly on a free transfer.
Sure.
Where they would have obviously got maybe a little bit of decent
But they've brought in
for
Harrison
him
to replace him. That's
yeah,
fine.
very true.
I like their business. I think it's all right.
Yeah, me too.
So, yeah, let's talk about it. Evan Nilsson.
I thought he looked really sharp. I watched that Sky showing that Newcastle game at the weekend whilst Chelsea and Wolves were having an absolute goal fest. No, I thought Evan Nielsen looked really busy. He was physical. He was taking on defenders. Like Newcastle is quite a tough first Premier League game to roll into. But yeah, I mean, he was doing well at Porto. He was the idea of Bournemouth buying like Porto's best strikers.
True.
It's quite funny. Like, I mean, that just shows where they've come as a club, which I think is kind of brilliant. So yeah, I like Evan Nielsen as a replacement. Bear in mind, everyone knew how much money they got for Solanke. So in terms of them getting like their pants pulled down, I think they did all right to get Evan Nielsen for the price they paid. I think Huijsen, I said it, I think on your show, it may take a while for him to break into that team because they're so set with Sabani and Senesi as that kind of centre-back pairing. But I think Huijsen is going to be a real breakout star for them too. So yeah, I mean, as long as Evan Nielsen can find some goals, they've got plenty of options in the wings already this season. And
Semenyo's looking on fire this season.
I think they've already recovered the ball the most times in the opposition third of any team in the Premier League so far. They are so busy, Bournemouth. I mean, is that sustainable across an entire league campaign? Let's wait and see. But yeah, I do actually really like Bournemouth. I think they're playing well, and I think they've got some interesting players in through the door. And I think they're only going to get better. So yeah, I'm pretty positive about this window, all in all.
I mean, for them in general, like they ended up having a good season last year. They got a fantastic manager in Raiola, who I guess they think is probably he's the best thing that they've managed to keep this season, not had to lose him to any club. Obviously, Dominic Solanke had almost his kind of freak season last year. Those numbers beforehand hadn't been reached by him in the Premier League anyway. And so capitalising on someone who, well, we'll get on to maybe with Spurs, but looks like he's out at the moment with injury. He didn't get injured once last season for Bournemouth. Could look like a really positive move. The guys they've brought in aren't necessarily incredibly old either. Like Evan Nielsen's 24 years old. Huijsen, as you mentioned, is only 19 years old at the back. They've started doing some really smart business under this new ownership. They've gotten a fantastic manager playing brilliant football as well. And so for their window, I reckon B. Yeah. Like for their standards?
Yeah,
like for their standards. B. We'll see how things work out for them as well. Maybe they'll jump back into it in January. But that is AFC Bournemouth. Obviously, there is another 17 teams we've got to get through. So we've got to maybe leave a few a little bit shorter than others. Brentford. Now, this one may not be over just yet. This, I feel like, could have a proper deadline day deal happen with Ivan Toney. Obviously, links over to Saudi Arabia and Chelsea being the other one.
Get him out there. That's where he belongs.
They have brought in Igor Thiago, who's now out until January. That was 33 million euros. Van der Berg from Liverpool, 23 million euros. Fabio Carvalho, again, about 23 million euros. Gustavo Nunes, who I saw in his announcement video yesterday, said that I can't wait to win many titles here for 18 million euros.
Yeah, no, that's it.
And then they sold, well, I guess David Raya's like official money came through in this summer. But yeah, and we'll see about Ivan Toney. As of right now, recording it, doesn't look like he is going to, well, it's not known where he's going to yet, but it does feel like he will be leaving whatever happens.
Did they get a keeper?
They brought in a goalkeeper from, well, they had a guy called Ben Winterbottom in Brentford B. He's now in Brentford A.
Okay, cool. That's fine.
But yeah, they've not necessarily brought in a keeper
They have a very good B team system at Brentford.
They do.
Which Romeo Beckham plays for, actually. But yeah, no, so there we have it with Brentford. I feel like this one's very tough to grade because we just don't know about the Ivan Toney situation right now. And I think that can...
That doesn't really... I think we can grade it like regardless of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you feel about Brentford then, Pat? Because obviously they brought in a striker where they spent a lot of money on him. And you can't tell they're ever going to get injured like this. But I think I feel like when we spoke about it before, we were never necessarily massive fans of him pre-injury anyway.
I didn't.
Like this striker who was...
I wouldn't have done it.
Penalty box... more like 6-yard box specialist.
Yeah.
And from the penalty spot. There wasn't really much else to his game where I was like, oh, this feels... like a really promising person who can take you forward going forward. And so I worry slightly on that side. Van der Berg, this young centre-back, could have high potential. And Fabio Carvalho, 21 years old, again, another one who just had a bit of a rough time in the last few years. Gustavo Nunes is obviously only 18 years old, and we'll see him, I'm sure, over time. How do you feel about it?
I think they've overspent on basically everyone.
Yes.
Okay.
Like Igor Thiago, I think was a lot of money for a guy that there are significant question marks around. If they've got somebody more cheaply, then they could have done two.
Yeah.
Like, so for example, if they wanted a penalty box striker, or looks like Eddie Nketiah is going to go for 25 mil, they could have done that and probably done something else. Or they could have just like put that money towards somebody who they had more certainty around.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who that necessarily would have been. But Igor Thiago is like a fairly low shot, like high XG per shot guy. Like as you said, we had all these kind of questions about it. Like, I don't know, I kind of want someone ripping up. Even if they'd gone and said like, right, Jonathan David, we're just going to like gamble on Jonathan David.
Who again is like 30 million.
And see, like, is he a pivot, you know, like that the attack can function around like Tony? No.
Yeah.
It'd be a different sort of attack, but that's fine. I like Fabio Carvalho, though he's not where he was, you know, a couple of years ago when he looked kind of amazing. However, he's very young. I like the player. They've overspent again. You're paying for a guy who just like doesn't play. You're paying like top dollar for him. Vandenberg, again, paying like crazy money, in my opinion, like for a guy who hasn't done that much. Now, a lot of smart clubs have been interested in Vandenberg. He went on loan to
Mainz.
Mainz are a smart club. Mm-hmm. And Leverkusen was supposedly interested in him as well. So like these are teams who actually have like quite interesting recruitment operations, and as do Brentford. So that gives me a reasonable degree of faith in like their talent evaluation. Yeah. But again, you're spending like a lot of money on this guy. So like
they spent nearly 100 million euros.
Yeah, so I don't like Thiago. I do like the others. It's quite a lot of money across the board. So that doesn't like fill me with joy. I don't know. I feel like maybe if they'd like scrimped and saved a bit more, they could have got roughly the same return player quality wise and had money to do one more thing. And if they could have got one more forward, like if they sell Ivan Toney today, Thursday, and tomorrow they like bring in Jonathan David for like 35 mil, then I'll be like, great, really good window, totally fine with it. But as it is, they've made themselves incredibly susceptible to something going wrong, like Arsenal basically at a lower level. Like, oh God, if we get an injury to Mbeumo or Vissa or something, like what happens to our season? Well, your season goes kaput. And last year you were perilously close to the drop as it was. So don't like it.
Someone came in for Vissa, didn't they, recently? If I remember correctly.
I wouldn't do that. I think he's good where he is. But
Forest. Forest came in for Vissa and they rejected the offer.
But also, don't they have some issues with contract? Isn't Norgard in the last year of his contract or something like that? I don't know. Like, there's something like that with Norgard. Oh, maybe it's just his age, but he's kind of getting to that point where I'm like, Norgard's probably going to decline.
Yeah.
Quite soon.
Yeah, that makes
and he's like, he's the guy who
makes... Even like Pinnock's still playing at the back all the time, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's
but I worry less about that. You know, like the guy who makes everything work in midfield is Norgard. Like, that concerns me.
Yeah, very, very true. Henry,
coach,
they do a fantastic
C-.
C-.
Boom.
There we have it. I love the authority.
Today,
I love the authority there. Brentford, they have it. And again, of course, a few more deals could happen on deadline day. Brighton. Here we go. 230 million euros spent.
Crazy.
How much have they sold? 34 million euros. They basically spent 200 million euros this summer on a lot of players, and let's get through them. The biggest outlay was for Rutter from Leeds, 46 million euros.
That is a lot.
Minter, 35 million euros.
Sick.
Mats Wifa, 32 million euros.
Love it.
We spoke about Mainz earlier. Well, Gruda has joined on the right wing, 31 million euros.
If you watch his highlights, he is so fun.
Kadioglu from Fenerbahce, 30 million euros.
Question mark, but like it.
Matt O'Reilly joined for basically 30 million euros.
Dead.
Injured. Apparently about to have surgery.
After
that very bad
They could yet sell Billy Gilmore.
They could sell Billy Gilmore. Ibrahim Osman, 19.5 million euros. Malik Jr. Lakoyi, I hope I pronounced that right, 7 million euros. So there we have it, roughly. They've also brought in a couple of academy kids. They sold Dennis Under, Pascal Gross, a guy called Mark Leonard. So that is what we're looking at. Brighton have basically spent the kitty. We've sat here before and done, how does your club spend 200 million euros? Brighton have done it. And you know what? They've made some fantastic signings, haven't they, Henry?
Ironically, the one I'm most concerned about is Rutte, and the most expensive one they signed. Don't get me wrong, he was really fun at Leeds, but Leeds basically just played with 4 strikers last year and just said, "Go on, have a go."
And didn't get promoted.
Leeds were pretty nuts, and Rutte was piss poor in the Premier League. Let's not forget. However, I don't think there's any pressure on him to be a starter in this side so far. I think Matoma looks back to his best. Adingra, he's been brilliant coming off the bench this season already. I mean, and Hutzler as well, the new manager coming in. That's we might as well add that into the transfer window because he's been such a fascinating addition so far. Like, I can't do anything but give Brighton an A. Like, this is just so fun.
So good.
The front line, the name is outrageous, man.
And the thing is, like the numbers you've said. If all these guys look good, then they're all worth double that straight away. So like they basically invested incredibly well, and I just would love to know. The thing I like about Brighton is that whenever you see them linked with a player, you never see other teams linked with them. You never see other teams. It's just, Brighton have gone and bought this guy. Brighton have gone and bought this guy. It's like, why is no one else looking at these players who just quite clearly look amazing and fun?
And also, for these players as well, like, it must be so positive kind of see. They've seen what's happened to a bunch of other guys. They've seen the Moises Caicedo. They've seen these guys who have joined and been able to move McAllister, and these guys who've been there for one season and know that actually Brighton is a really good place to develop, play brilliant football, join the Premier League, and possibly even get a move out of it if you do succeed. Brighton are willing to sell you.
They'll make a big sale next summer.
To like a João Pedro, Matoma.
I think the guy they'd want to sell the most would be Mitoma.
Yeah,
because like he's much older than the others. He's 27 already. But like João Pedro, I think is like on the verge of a crazy season. Like, he's 23 and he had a really quiet but great campaign.
He's so
last
good.
Year. Scored a really good goal the other day. Like, when I was saying, like in that game, I was absolutely stunned he didn't come off, because he was basically playing as an 8. Like, he was just like shuttling backwards and forwards. He looked gassed, and then he scored the goal. And he's actually great at everything in a way that would really appeal to a big team. But yeah, that front line, you're too deep in every position. So Mitoma, Rutte, Welbeck, Ferguson, who we don't even talk about, Enciso, Pedro, and then Minter, Gruder. It's absolutely nuts.
When João Pedro left Fluminense, they were genuinely devastated. Like, he was like the king for them for a little bit.
They loved him at Watford.
He became captain at Watford by the end of his time there. So that shows, and he didn't speak any English when he arrived at the club. That shows like sort of the character of the player. And now he's gone to Brighton. I completely agree with what Pat said there. But I was comparing Brighton in my head to Bournemouth the other day. I was thinking like the wingers that Bournemouth have been trying to buy over the years. Hamid Traore, who's just gone on loan to Auxerre. I was thinking like Justin Kluivert. Is he really like? Yeah. They're trying to do a similar thing to Brighton, but they're just so far off it in their scouting network. Whereas Brighton are just nailing it every single time. These super fun forward players, and at this point they can afford to take a punt on someone like Rutte because they will be able to cash in on these players at some point down the line. So it's very exciting. And I said it on like Twitter. I don't think anyone have included Brighton in our top 4 predictions, top 6 predictions. I think they're going to be a real problem this season because they've got so much rotation, so much creativity in that front line going forwards, and still the midfield is still pretty tight. The only thing I'm sad about is O'Reilly getting injured by that terrible tackle. I'd like to see what he can do, but Kadiolu as well. I mean, I know the Euros he was really fun. He's been hugely rated. He was linked with Borussia Dortmund, but Brighton have gone and got him, so it's great. I'm excited.
And then they've still got Estupinian.
It's true.
Like they could play Baleba, Vifa, Gilmore in the absence of O'Reilly. Like, it's just like totally fine.
It's a big A for me.
Yeah, big A, an A plus. We'll go A.
I mean, they
can still get a better goalkeeper. I think
they've spent
still
the
get
money.
Better goalkeeper.
They've spent the money. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's not like they've done this on a shoestring. Like, they actually have spent like an absolute ton of money to do this. But they've got either like amazing quality or a really smart gamble for every single one of these purchases. I love it. I think it's great.
And Minter, like, you look at Minter already in 2 games, and he looks fantastic. Like, looks like at the level, and if Newcastle fans are raging, they had to sell him. Like,
and if you're like Thomas Frank or something, you do look at something like this, and you're like, huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so this guy's just come in, like, he's like 12 years old, and they've given him like 200 mils worth of players, like, on a squad that was already good.
Yeah.
And like, I've spent a bit of money this summer, but like basically every year it's kind of like, we'll see. I don't know. Like, I would look at kind of like you're saying with Bournemouth. There are lots of talented managers at these other Premier League kind of ambitious mid-table clubs who must look at Brighton and think, wow, what a job that is.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I was just looking there as well.
I didn't even mention a Dingwell when I was talking about like their options.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
Going forward. The oldest player they've bought as well is 24 years old. Like
even Milner's look like he's loving life.
Yeah, and every game they say the same thing where it's Milner's older than the manager.
He's been managing for like a decade.
So is Welbs, presumably. But like Milner and Welbeck, you watch them for Brighton and you're like, they still look pretty good.
Yeah.
Because Brighton know how to use them because they're smart. Because the other part of this is training. Like that's what we didn't touch on with Bournemouth. Like Bournemouth do have the advantage of having had a year now under this manager.
Yeah.
And you would hope that they would improve with training under him. Like the first year is normally rough. The fact they were so good is kind of amazing. So all these guys can be trained in like a new style. Like I think it'll be interesting to see what that can bring on top of just the raw talent that they've got.
Yeah, I mean, Henry, I was going to say as well, you'll be happy to know Dahoud is back.
Whatever.
So we'll see what
the greatest.
We'll see. Maybe he goes on deadline day.
Signing of all time.
Maybe he goes on deadline day. Okay, then lads, let's do it. Chelsea FC. They have brought in Pedro Neto, Joao Felix, Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, Philip Jorgensen, Omari Kellyman, Mike Penders, Anselmino, Renato Vega, Caleb Wiley, and Mark Guiu, and sold Ian Matson, Conor Gallagher, Lewis Hall technically went, Amari Hutchinson, Diego Moreira, Tino Angerin. They also, I'm not sure it's come through there, Romelu Lukaku is gone to Napoli. Kepa's gone on loan. A bunch of other loan signings, loan outgoings as well. Leslie Uchukwu's gone to Southampton on loan. That is it for now. There is also the possibility of Ben Chilwell leaving, Sterling leaving, and coming in, Tony/Victor Osimhen. Let's do this then. What do we make of Chelsea's window?
What were your top signings again? Neto,
right now, Neto and Felix are the top two most expensive.
Sure.
Then it's Kieran Dewsbury-Hall at 30 million. Neto is at 60 million euros, and Felix, I think, is at 52 million euros. I think that is with add-ons included. But yeah, those are the outliers.
I do feel like we've talked about Chelsea a lot recently.
We have. But we do actually have
to
talk
you better?
About...
Are you better? Like maybe with coaching you might be, but are you actually better? Like in squad terms for this summer?
If Victor Osimhen joins, yes. Or Tony joins, I think so, yes.
Oh, I like Jackson.
That's quite a big...
I like Jackson as well. There's nothing wrong either, but I'm just saying as if like having one of them there as well gives it...
I actually like the Mark Guiu signing. I think that's really smart.
That's fine, yeah.
For the money you paid for Mark Guiu, I think that's good. Joao Felix, I thought he was good last time he played for you, and I think he will be useful. I'm glad you signed someone who actually knows the lay of the land at Stamford Bridge, and already he's on the score sheet, which I think is really, really positive for a signing coming back to the club.
I'm a lot more positive about the Pedro Neto signing than I think Pat was.
I think that's a horrible signing.
I disagree with Pat. I think Pedro Neto is a good signing. He is slightly limited in what he does, but what he does do, attacking the wings, I think he does very well. And I think even as an impact sub, we saw that at the Euros for Portugal when he came on and helped rescue that game against Czech Republic.
60 mil for an impact sub.
Well, but at the end of the day, Chelsea, that's what they're doing right now.
But they can't do that. Like it's gonna hurt them. Yeah, sure.
They've done so many ridiculous transfers that I actually don't think signing a Premier League player isn't the worst thing that they've ever done.
A couple of months ago, Pat, where you went, you're so far in now, you might as well go more.
I think that was their plan all along. I think they were just like, right, okay, well, we've got to make the Champions League. Like that's what the Felix thing says to me. And certainly if they go and get like Tony or Osimhen, that's what it is. Yeah. Like I think they'll probably
not Jadon Sancho.
I think they'll be better this season, probably just because these players know each other better. I really do think like that's a big factor. But I'm not convinced the squad is better, really. There are some things in there that are okay. I think getting Renato Vega, I think is like a fair gamble. I think Guiu is a fair gamble. But also if you go and get, say, Tony, then you're going to, in the long run, reduce the value of someone like Jackson, who actually could end up being a very valuable player. He won't play as much and he won't improve in the same way. You've still got a bunch of deadwood in there, and it's just like Chelsea want to sell those guys. You say this Chelsea fans, they're like, well, we're trying to sell Sterling, and you're like, but you can't. You literally can't. Like, you can't do it because he's still got like 50 mil or whatever, like that you owe him.
Yeah.
And a bunch of these players, like their book value, like the unamortized transfer fee on the books is still like 30, 40, 50 mil for a bunch of these guys because they're on such long contracts. So I don't know. I think this is in the exposure to risk in the long term. in the way that it devalues existing players at the squad, in the way that it's not joined up at all because you've got Dewsbury Hall and Felix, like who both play in a position which is already taken by your best player, Cole Palmer. In overpaying for Pedro Neto, in getting a bunch of young players who you didn't need to add on top of what you've already got. In all these different regards, this is a disastrous thing to do. The amount of money that you're going to have to pay at the beginning of next summer before you even do any transfers is crazy. Losing Conor Gallagher is a big loss for you.
I didn't even mention Gallagher. Yeah, I didn't mention Gallagher even.
I think this is just like a hard F. This is so bad. I think this is so. I think this is so stupid. Like, I think if you'd done none of this summer, it would have actually been better for you. Like, truly. Like that's the thing. But a transfer window is not just like, oh, are we going to be better this season? If you're better this season and people say it's because of this window, I'm sorry, but those people are fucking stupid. Like, it's not going to be because of this window. It'll be because you bought a bunch of young players who've improved and because they've had a year playing together. Like, I think Felix will be okay. I like Felix. Yeah. I think he'll actually be good for you. Like, Kieran Dewsbury Hall, don't know if he's going to play. Guess we'll find out. Probably not. Pedro Neto, as I said, not better than Madueke. Immediately shown in his first game. Scores a goal. Madueke scores a hat-trick. Crap. Like, I don't know. I just think that there's so much here that it's just silly. And next summer, when you're like, okay, before the window even opens, we need to pay £100 million in transfer fees for guys we already own and guys whose value is depreciating every year because we don't play them. Like, that's really, really bad. And now with UEFA saying, you're actually not allowed to sell a hotel to yourself because this isn't fucking Monopoly. Like, that is a bit. In fact, that wouldn't even be allowed in Monopoly.
The loopholes are shrinking for you, Zach.
That is a bit worrying. So transfer windows aren't just assessed in like how good are you in the following season, because I think also you can be good in the following season in a way that has nothing to do with your transfer window. But transfer windows also are about what you are capable of doing next year, the year after.
Yes, true.
And this locks you into these problems for a long, long, long while. So if this doesn't end up working, this particular project, you're going to have absolutely no wiggle room. I mean, absolutely no wiggle room to do anything at all. That really, really worries me. So I just think it's so insane. I almost hope that they like have a special plan, because it would make me believe that there's still magic in the world. But like there isn't, and I think there really is.
The look on your face is giving me that meme of like the Barry guy saying we're going to do it anyway. Like,
they are going to do it anyway.
Yeah, we'll just spend more money.
These guys are absolutely convinced that they're smarter than the sport, and like that's fun. But normally you lose your shirt doing that.
There's a world where like it's bonkers to me. There's a world where like Jadon Sancho there's a chance Jadon Sancho joins.
You can make up.
How do you pay him?
You can make up another brand to sponsor you on the shirt and for a load of money. But Zach, I'm going to be less vicious than Pat. I'm going to give you a D. But because I think there are some good transfers. But I completely agree with what Pat's saying. Almost the year when you had a transfer ban, that was actually great for you.
It was. You had Pulisic and Kovacic, and it was totally fine. Like, that was actually totally okay.
There's two young kids who join next summer as well, which will be interesting.
Tremendous. Can't wait to never see them play for Chelsea.
You guys can let us know in the comments your ranking for Chelsea. I'm sure Chelsea fans will definitely.
What are you talking about? We spent loads of money. We've signed loads of players. The manager's got tons of options now. We should sign everyone. We should sign every boy child under 18 in the world, like fucking King Herod. We should bring them all here and like make them play for Chelsea Football Club. No, you're stupid. Sorry.
I don't know what King Herod is.
And also stop like. Do you support a club or do you support a transfer window? You know, it's like, do you want to see your team? do you want to see your team be good this year, next year, like in perpetuity, or do you just want to like win the transfer window? Because if you do, then play Football Manager.
They are not sponsoring us, so until they are,
don't play Football Manager.
Exactly.
Buy my wife's book instead.
Exactly. Okay, then.
It's actually available for pre-order now. You can go to Amazon.
Guys, can we race through some of these, please? Everton is hard E.
We got to move on.
E for Everton, Man United.
Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, actually,
I forgot about them.
Things are not looking great right now.
No.
What I will say is it does seem like Lacroix is joining.
That's a good signing.
We've also, not too expensive either.
Who did I suggest them for? Did I suggest them for Palace?
It was a similar level.
It was like that kind of club.
You did say Palace recently. You did.
On Continental Club, we
all did actually.
Talked about him forever.
Yeah.
But I also don't like him arriving as like
Gehi and Anderson leave.
Yeah, as an immediate starter in a defence that has been stripped of like its two good players.
To be fair, Gehi actually would not. Gehi could literally come down to deadline day right now.
70 mil you have to take for Gehi.
Yeah. Chadi Riyad joins 21-year-old centre back from Real Betis, 15 million euros. Ismail Assar, 15 million euros.
Quite depressing.
Daichi Kamada.
Fine.
Good.
That's basically it.
Totally fine.
Michael Olise left. Joachim Andersen left. Jordan Ayew left.
That's fine.
Yeah, man.
8 million for Ayew.
They've sent on loan.
That's the most we're getting relegated move of all time. Leicester signing Ayew.
Yeah.
They're just like, right, okay, guys, we're going to the Championship.
Who agrees?
Toot, all aboard.
How do we feel about this then? Because obviously they're
Eddie as well is going to happen, right?
Eddie and Ketty is going to happen. It also looks like Odsonne Edouard might be going back to Celtic as well.
Really?
That looks like that might be happening.
Right.
Possibly, we'll see.
Is that an upgrade?
Zach, I'm giving this window a C again.
A C?
Yeah, I
think maybe a little bit lower.
I just think,
yeah.
well, yeah, okay, yeah.
But they have got.
I was going to say C-.
Except for Anderson, I feel like they should have just said no for the Anderson money.
They've sold Elise well due to a release clause. Like
they got more than he's worth, I think, even with the release clause.
I think if you just consider the momentum in which Palace finished last season, a great manager who is better than Palace, a great squad with some young players that are really coming to fruition.
Yeah, incredible.
I think if you consider where they were at the end of our campaign to now, where they haven't won in the Premier League so far, yes, and they've sold Anderson sideways to Fulham.
Yeah.
Gehi looks like, as Pat said, they might not be able to resist the amount of money on the table. They've lost one of their most creative players going forward and have brought in a guy who's just flopped in France. It's not great.
Yeah.
And I can imagine Oliver Glasner getting to December and thinking, sod this, Bayern Munich wanted me last year.
Yeah.
This is really annoying. Like, why am I not being supported here?
But even Eze, do you not think Eze recently, I feel like watching him, he kind of, just the way he's playing just doesn't look like he's enjoying it as much as he was last season.
Well, I think because I almost think...
It'll be all right. Like, if they park like Mateta and Nketiah ahead of Eze, that's still like a totally fine functional attack. Like it's like whatever, and they can get more out of like guys like Doucouré.
Yeah, true.
This is like okay, like but being generous, that makes this like a D+.
Yeah,
like,
okay,
it's a bit disastrous.
Yeah,
it is a disaster in some ways because I bet like HTLCO on Twitter, he's almost like can't believe what's happened either. So
they could have just sold like Gay. I mean, look, the price has gone up and up and up. But they could have just said to Newcastle, the price is 70 mil earlier in the window, and we're not going to sell him to you after like the 10th of August. And then if he'd gone, they could have kept Anderson and brought in Lacroix, and it would have kind of been okay. And now it's like, oh God, we might have to sell Gay for that money because like it's objectively much more than he's worth. Yeah. I don't know. I think Henry's completely right. Like Palace were so excited for this season.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh shit. Like, but they've still got like Rack City.
Who's on loan? Sheffield United.
Rack City.
They haven't got him anymore. He's on loan.
Who's next? Who's next?
Okay, Everton. We said D- for Crystal Palace.
Here we go.
Everton.
What a window.
Amadou Onana. Sold Ben Godfrey. Sold Lewis Dobbin. They got around 83 million euros for that. They brought in Jack O'Brien. Yet to play. Ilman Ndiaye.
Is he not Jake?
Jake.
Sorry,
Jake.
Ilman Ndiaye. Tim the guy from Irabunam for 10 million euros. Lindstrom came in from Napoli on loan, 2 million euro fee. The big one, Asmir Begovic, back on a free from QPR. Neil Mapai obviously went back to Brentford as well. So they're actually in profit this window.
Well, they had to be.
32 million euros.
And they're still trying to sell Calvert-Lewin.
And they're still, I guess it. Yeah, that's it. They're still trying to sell.
This is quite good.
What, their window?
Yeah,
it's all right, but like
they've got no money though, and they've made a profit while like I don't think getting like that much worse. Like I quite like these signings. Like I like, especially like Lindstrom, and I like Jake O'Brien. I think those are good signings. I think Ndiaye is a signing that makes perfect sense for Dyche too. Calvert-Lewin goes, like, that's slightly concerning because as bad a finisher as he is, somebody does need to play up front. You can't just field 10 men.
Beto is absolute bullshit as well.
Yeah, that's true. But they kind of tied into
Who's the youngster they got?
Shemiti.
Yeah,
they're tied into him.
He'd scored like 2 goals for Sporting.
Sure, but they did pay a lot. But like, look, they've got no money. That's what Dyche said, and they're coming out of the summer with a profit and a window that doesn't make me like absolutely certain they're getting relegated. Though their performances so far,
they were unlucky.
They are trying to change my mind.
Brighton, they were unlucky. I thought actually in the first half against Brighton, they could have probably gone. They could have scored a couple of goals. Spurs, they were really bad.
But I also think,
but then I think
Spurs are going to turn over a lot of teams this year. I think Spurs are really good in attack, and like, but Everton basically give you all the ball. And Spurs are like, we are going to like camp out in your final third and commit everybody to it. And if you can't counterattack us, you're in trouble. And Everton can't counterattack them. And Spurs are going to create chances against you, even if your defense is good. Yeah. So like that is a really bad matchup because like Everton are going to let Spurs do what they want, and the one thing Spurs are scared of, Everton can't do. So like it's totally fine because it's not like if Everton had like 2 lightning fast wingers, you'd be a bit scared to like push up and up and up. But when they're like, oh, we've got like, you know, Calvert-Lewin, who's got 1 leg, and we've got like a bunch of guys.
Neal, who's got 1 foot.
We've got a bunch of midfielders. We've got kind of we play 6s as 8s and we play 8s as 10s, and that's kind of our system. Then you're like, okay. Like,
I think it's a C- for me for Everton.
I think again D+ maybe. Like they've got a lot of money for Onana, but they spent a lot of money on Onana.
But Onana wasn't like a star. Onana's like a promising player. Like it's not like, oh, we've lost so much in him. It's
and
like,
he actually wasn't maybe that beneficial to the way Sean Dyche was wanting to play football as well.
I don't think Sean Dyche cares.
But considering in our predictions I had Everton to be like
me too.
Like one to keep an eye on, I would take that back right now. Genuinely, I would.
Yeah, that's not
okay, then let's go to another club in West London, Fulham.
Yeah.
What, after Everton? Yep. We're staying in West London.
Emil Smith Rowe, 30 million euros. Joachim Andersen, 30 million euros. Sander Berg, 23.5 million euros. Jorge Cunha, 6.7 million euros from Cuenca, from Villarreal. Ryan Sessegnon, back from for free. They sold João Palhinha for 51 million euros, and they let Tim Ream go for free to Charlotte FC, really. And Bobby Decordova-Reid went for free, and Tosin Adrodaya went for free, and Willian left for free.
Has he gone anywhere? Or is he just
Willian? He's just without a club at the moment. Free agent.
Can I ask what is the defensive midfield plan? Is it like Lukic plus Pereira?
We don't need one, mate. No, so we have been linked with Andre the entire window. Apparently, we are 1 minute away
from Brazil.
Just gone to Wolves.
He's gone to Wolves.
Just gone to Wolves.
Are you joking?
He's just gone to Wolves.
Oh, you brought in Berger, I guess. Is like he's not a DM at all. But
Andre's just gone to Wolves.
He plays in central midfield.
How much for?
Romano's like said. Here is it? Just here.
It'll be more than you'd have paid.
They haven't released. Not sure yet.
Right.
But he's going to Wolves.
So we'd agreed everything. I think we just clearly ran out of money. I think we just got Berg and then overpaid for Anderson and thought, oh Christ, we can't do any more business.
Kind of overpaid for everyone.
I don't think we've overpaid. I'm really happy with our window.
We spent nearly 100 million euros this summer.
I'm really happy with our window. I think it's good. I think Joachim Andersen...
I was really worried for you guys, and you have actually sort of turned it around a little bit.
Joachim Andersen looks... I'm just so happy at that signing because people are, you've overpaid for him, but he's 28. He could probably just get 5 good years out of him.
Actually makes you young.
Yeah, I think
he's younger than all your players.
Smith Rowe, I think, is just a sensational signing. I keep saying it. I'm so happy with him, and Andy's already on the score.
He started
well, and he's on the score sheet too. And there's basically no competition for him on that left side of the attack, so you can just sort of play whenever he wants. Even Iwobi looks a lot better this season. Adama Traore's been doing whatever he does again.
Is Muniz going to be like? Is Muniz going to? Is he the guy?
He's pretty good.
Andreas Pereira's created more chances than anyone else in the league this season. Like, we've got some decent players there. I completely agree with what Pat has said about the defensive structure. Sasha Lukic has been a sub, nothing more up until this point. Sander Berg is not a defensive midfielder at his heart. He's more of like a box-to-box kind of... He's like a sort
central mid.
He's sort of like a Scott McTominay-esque kind of... I'm not quite sure what he does.
We'll get him later.
Will he... I hope... I'm still... he was linked with United. We've gone and got him. I'm glad we got him over McTominay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this a B. I think I'm just happy with this one. Cuenca's this 6'4".
I like Cuenca.
He's a big old centre back, and we haven't even paid that much money for him. So yeah, it's a B for me. We've still got Marco Silva. We've put some money behind him, which was what I was really concerned that we weren't going to do this season. I thought we're going to try and like sort of scrimp it again. Could we get another attacking player in? Yes, I'd quite like to see that. We were linked with Shirky, of course, who I famously don't really like. So I'm not. He decided he wasn't. He decided he didn't want to go to Fulham. Fair enough. I don't
would have been
care
fun
about
though. That.
But yeah,
would
so I would like another wide forward who could play at centre forward potentially. But Jay Stansfield has actually had 2 really good loan spells back to back, and he scored again at the weekend. And he's like someone who's come through the academy, so I'd love to see him get minutes if Muniz fails to score, which will happen in the season because he's not that good. So yeah, on the whole, I'm actually really, really content. B. And I don't think we need Pat's opinion on Fulham, so let's move on to the next side.
Yeah. I'm happy with B, mate.
top
No, I did just realise you've still got Carlos Vinicius, and he's 29 now. For some reason I thought he was very young.
But Muniz might actually be amazing. Muniz's numbers, no, I'm not joking. Muniz's numbers, in relatively limited minutes last season, are quite tasty for a very young player. He's 22, right?
Yeah, there's just something about it when I don't know. He had that really good purple patch, and then.
But he's a kid.
We'll see.
That happens. That happens. I think he's something that they've kind of found out of nowhere, which is quite exciting.
All right, let's talk about one of the new boys, Ipswich Town. Spent nearly 130 million euros. Amari
Jesus,
Hutchinson.
Really?
Yeah.
Everyone spent 100 mil. What's going on?
You know, back in the day where it's like, would you be like, oh, how United can spend 100 million pounds? Everyone can do that now. Amari Hutchinson, Jacob Greaves, Liam Delap, Jack Clark, Dara O'Shea, Sammy Schmodix, Murich, Ogbane, someone from Luton. Ogbene from on the right winger. Yeah, I wasn't too sure.
OG Bean.
Jen Kajeste from Napoli. Connor Townsend from West Brom. Kajust. Ben Johnson on free. Calvin Phillips loan move. They've sold not even £2 million worth of sales, and obviously you wouldn't in their position. So they've brought in a lot of players, and they kind of had to.
Yeah, you have to take this in the context of they've actually semi-bought in case they get relegated as well, which is why it's fine. I actually don't mind.
Yeah, I think it's all right.
I think it's fine this window.
And they've started against Liverpool and Man City.
And they play. And you know what? They played against Liverpool.
They've got units actually, haven't they? Fulham.
Yes, that could be true.
They got absolutely pumped by Liverpool while still kind of giving quite a good account of themselves.
Scored against Man City. Went 1-0 up. Sammy Schmodix. It's tough. You can't judge them at this point. They're playing the two.
I also don't even know if you can judge them at the end of the season. If they stay up, then I'd say fantastic. That is amazing. If they don't stay up, I think they were we planned for that. What they basically did is went and took the best players from a bunch of championship sides, right? They were right, Obene played in the Prem last season. He's a useful player. Greaves,
Jack Clark is the best winger.
Clark. These kind of signings are just if they go down, they've got a really good shot at coming straight back up. Because also most of those players are the right side of the age curve. Smodic is a bit older, but
apart from that,
but apart from that, these guys can all improve and are maybe good now. So if they stay up, incredible. If they don't stay up, they'll be that's fine. I think they've done a smart thing in that none of this will be a problem for them in the future, and in fact most of it should be beneficial. If some of these guys, if they're great, they'll just sell them into Premier League sides. So I think it's actually I'd say that this is
close to A.
I kind of give them a B plus because I think I don't think it's necessarily going to make them stay up, but when a team knows what they're doing with their window and all their decision making kind of is joined up, then I think you get credit for that because loads of teams don't do that, and that is what they've done. So I think they deserve a bit of credit.
Also, even Calvin Phillips, I know he's been a bit of a sort of performance pariah the last few years, but back at a team where he's going to be playing on the back foot quite a lot, going to have to take a lot of responsibility on his shoulders. I think that's good. So they've got a bit of experience running through that side as well. And Murich was a decent keeper for Burnley.
He did have a mare against in the promotion against City.
He did,
that's for sure.
But you're going to, that's going to happen. You don't. No signing is a guarantee.
No, I think it's fair enough, and especially when you compare it to this club's transfer window, Leicester City, who obviously financially and stuff, bit of a mess at the moment. They've spent and brought in Oliver Skipp, Fatawi, who was obviously on loan last year, but I think that is a good signing. Caleb Okolai, Jordan Ayew, Michael Golding from Chelsea, free transfers of Bobby De Cordova, and Buonanotte is on loan from Brighton. They sold Dewsbury Hall. Lost Iheanacho, and they've loaned out Harry Suter.
Where's Iheanacho gone?
Sevilla.
That's such a... I can't believe it.
Sevilla.
I remember reading that the other day.
Yeah,
thinking,
Sevilla.
how has he done that?
I love that. That's sick.
So yeah, they're basically down about 30 million euros, having sold Kieran Dewsbury Hall for, what was it, 30 odd. How do you feel about this window? Like, they are...
Not good.
They're going to be in trouble, aren't they?
Bad.
I mean, even on the level of like, just find out they were in a similar situation where they couldn't really spend a lot of money. Obviously, they went up with a certain style of football and a manager, and now they've had to completely change that as well.
I had a crap manager.
I just think it would actually genuinely surprise me. I think if they stayed up, just based on this window alone.
Oh yeah.
It's just even like little things as well where they've not had. Who's the striker? Daka's like been out injured, isn't he? Currently,
He's never been that good though, Daka.
I know, but at least there's something like right now. Their option is just keep putting out like give Vardy a Red Bull and just chuck him out there and hope for the best.
He had no preseason. They're just praying that Vardy will... I mean, he should have scored twice against Spurs really in that game. It's not good. Jordan Ayew for 8 million is just for a club with no money. I just can't believe it. Like if you gave me 8 million, I could find you. I genuinely
and 25 mil on Skip.
Yeah. Oh, it's mental.
Imagine what you could do with 33 million pounds. Like that's more than Fulham spent on Smith Rowe. Like that's so much. That's a lot of money to do something with. Like you could get 2 useful players for that amount, and they've actually got 2 rubbish players for that amount of money. Plus guys like Bobby De Cordova-Reid. Like I know he's free, but like he's still wages that you don't need, and he's not the right side of the age curve. Like. At least Buonanotte, I think, like, yeah, sure. Like
he's on loan, though.
Loan him.
He's only on loan.
Yeah, I know, but like he's not a problem for you if you go down financially.
Yeah,
and he's just and maybe he's good. Like, I don't know. I feel like they'd have done better if they'd just gone to every big club and been like, who do you want to loan? Who do you want to loan out? Like, we'll take Fabio Vieira on loan. Like, we'll take like all these like crap players that Chelsea want to get rid of on loan. Like all your Brazilians that Chelsea have got. Are they going to play football this season, or are they?
They're already on loan. They're already on loan.
But I feel like they could have gone to you and been. They could have gone to you with the Kieran Dewsbury Hall. I know they got Golding, but they could have said, "Give us like 3 of these guys, like, and we'll play them every week."
Andre Santos.
We'll play them every week, like, and that probably would have been better.
Yeah. I'm giving it an E. I genuinely am really down.
I think this is like straight up F.
Yeah.
F. Crap.
Yeah.
Garbage.
I'm more than happy to do that.
This is one of the worst windows I've ever seen.
Liverpool.
There's not much
Looks
to say.
like Chiesa is joining for £10 million. Georgie Mamadashvili is joining, but they're going obviously back on loan to Valencia, 30 million euros. Does feel like soon to be the end of an era. That's like the acceptance. Alisson is gone. Trent after the weekend had some like interesting images of him not being too happy being brought off. Like Van Dijk's comments recently about like, I'm just going to try and enjoy the season, see where we're at.
This is the last dance, though, for those guys, right?
It is. Like, they're losing. There's a high potential at the end of this season. They're losing 4 very key players.
Just on Alisson, though, because he's only 32 or 31, 32. I don't know what his contract situation is. Mamadashvili, like, I think is a really good signing. Don't get me wrong, for 30 million euros.
23 years old as well.
Yeah. Alisson's not young. He's not old, sorry, in the world of keepers.
For a goalkeeper, yeah.
Is the plan to move? And he's still performing at an unbelievably high level. Is the plan still just to get rid of him?
Well, I think he basically said that like I got offered a ridiculous amount of money. Well,
Saudi?
Openly he was like I did take calls from them. We did talk basically.
Okay.
And the money is outrageous. And so,
but getting him in, if you've got the money to do it. Like, I don't think it's cost Liverpool anything. If they clearly could have done that and done Zubimendi, I think, this summer, like financially. So from that point of view, like, why not? If they're like, okay, Mamadashvili is like going to be the guy, and if we loan him for another 2 years
that's fine,
until Alisson is like 34, at that point, Alisson probably is declining. Like, often 33, 34 is when you see keepers like start to step off. But like, I think Liverpool fans are maybe getting a bit out over their skis this season because, like,
Alisson's contract doesn't end until 2027.
There are people who think that, like, they might win the league, and they might. It's totally possible they could win the league. But Salah is a year older, Van Dijk is a year older, and the idea that Slot does a better job with this team than Klopp did is kind of insane. However, they're going to be really, really, really good this season, I think.
Chiesa.
Good.
I like it.
10 million.
Price is
Unbelievable.
mental.
It's outrageous, man. This is
he's
someone
really
that was
good.
This is someone that was quoted to like 3 years ago as being
like
100 million they were saying to get him.
But I mean, that was just Juve talk.
Of course,
That's just like lies.
But still, like,
they can't help themselves but lie.
Incredible amount of money here. He's like not necessarily super old. He's like 26.
He doesn't even have to start every game.
I think he might be great.
Yeah, there's a genuine part of me, and if he's not, he spent 10 mil.
It's honestly one of the
They spent
best.
more on Ollie Skip. Leicester.
Yeah,
Twice as much. Yeah.
It's one of the smartest signings of the window because he can just go in there, he can be an option, and if he's fit, then he's going to be fucking incredible.
And
if he's not, then it's fine.
And he's like, I wouldn't play him on the right, which people have been talking about him as a backup Salah. Like, I don't think he's good there. Like, but if he plays on the left as like a guy who comes inside and gets shots, he's really, really good. And I also even like that they haven't just gone and like splurged on any old player in DM. Like, they were like, we want Zubimendi, he's the right guy. Okay, he's not going to come. And they were like, fine. Like, we'll look again later. And rather than getting this is exactly the thing that we were talking about before. Like, rather than tying themselves into a player like a 5-year contract for a player they don't really love, they're like, we'll just look again at a later date. Like, I do sort of look at someone like João Neves going to like PSG for like 60, 65 mil, and I think maybe they could have done that. But like, but broadly, I like that Liverpool are like, we have our strategy, and we don't like. A lot of teams, they approach things, you know, like when you go to like a sale, like a closed website online, and like if you start looking at the sale page, then suddenly you think, maybe I do need that, I do need that, and actually, like, you don't.
You're not buying rubbish.
Yeah, and you buy stuff that you really don't like. Liverpool don't do that ever. They're just like, no, if we don't want that player, we don't get them.
I have seen some fans say, and I guess it's less so about Salah and Van Dijk, and probably more about Trent. It's saying also like, okay, but how are we going to like convince him to stay if we're then going, we're not bringing any more we're not going in and getting these decent players for the future and stuff like that right now.
Do you think that has anything to do with whether he stays? I think it'll come down to whether he wants to stay at Liverpool or go to Real Madrid. Yeah, that is like the question. I don't think he'll be like, oh, Martin Zubimendi came in. Do you think Trent Alexander-Arnold has any idea who Zubimendi is? I think he has no clue whatsoever. I think a lot of footballers, like I think a lot of football fans think that like footballers are sitting there thinking like, who's this left back playing for Mainz? Like, that guy looks incredible. I'd love to play alongside him. I don't think any of them give a shit. Like, maybe if you sign like Messi, they're like sick. Yeah. But the rest of the time, I think they're just kind of like I bet that you'd be surprised at how many Premier League players don't know who like Kvaratskhelia is. You know, Kvicha Kvaratskhelia is. Like, I think a load of them would be like, who's that? Oh, he plays in Italy. Oh, right, sure. Like, I just don't think they care.
Had a crazy assist on the weekend, he did.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah, absolutely outrageous. It does also feel like next summer, especially if they do end up losing Van Dijk, Trent, and Salah, like, we could be doing a video saying, how did Liverpool spend £400 million? Because they didn't spend too much last year, and they had all that money that they were ready to spend on Caicedo.
Yeah, but they won't get any money for any of those guys.
No, I know. But they've almost had this money in the bank that they've been sitting on for a little while now. Like, they were willing to spend 100 on Caicedo, didn't go and do it, went and got Endo. This summer, they've not really spent it.
It's
like,
a B.
It's kind of building up a little bit.
This transfer window is a B.
It's a B.
A B. Okay.
Which actually, I think
I think like C+.
No, I think a lot of fans will think like, oh, this isn't good enough at all. But actually, I like that Liverpool are like, we stick to our guns, we do what we do what we think is right, even with not getting held to ransom and giving like Salah and Van Dijk like long new contracts on crazy money. Even that is Liverpool saying, we would rather lose you on a free than get tied into like 4 years of paying a contract that isn't worth the money. Like say Arsenal did with Aubameyang. You know, like, that I think is smart. I just think they're such a well-run club.
Okay, so let's go to last year's Premier League winners. Manchester City, they have spent 25 million euros bringing Savinho in. They got Ilkay Gundogan in on a free, loaned out Calvin Phillips. their sales, I mean, currently they are net 116 million euros in profit. Julian Alvarez, 75 million euros. João Cancelo going to Al Hilal for 25 million euros.
Boy.
Taylor Harwood-Bellis, they got 23 million euros from Southampton.
That's mental.
Sergio Gomez, they sold to Real Sociedad for 9 million euros. Tommy Doyle to Wolves, 5 million euros. So yeah,
so good.
They've done all right. They've done all right.
I was at Everton, Spurs last week, and asking people who they thought the best transfer of the window was. A lot of people, Gundogan on a free. A lot of people are like, yeah, it's just a no-brainer. It's just such a good signing, just to bring back someone with that much experience at the club. And he was good for Barcelona last year. Barcelona just, I don't know, complete calamity. You can't even sign Basetic on a loan deal. So Gundogan on a free, a new winger. He's gone to Salzburg, yeah. Savinho looks really fun already. I think we discussed it last week. A different style of winger, sort of just him and Doku, just sort of out and out flair kind of wingers, which is enjoyable to see. It's not a particularly enlightening window, but at the same time, their squad is so good, it doesn't have to be. Kind of on the basis of what we talked about Liverpool, I don't think they're just going to go and sign players for players' sake at this point. It's who can genuinely fit into Pep Guardiola's system and make a difference, and if not there, we're not going to buy him. So yeah, Savinho, really fun. Got that at a cheaper deal.
And he looks so good.
Yeah, because they've leveraged their whole City Football Group situation. And yeah, Gundogan again. I almost feel sorry for someone like Kovacic, who probably thought he was on for like a mega year. Feel sorry for like McAteer or something like that in the midfield that probably thought he was going to get minutes. No, they've just gone and got in like one of the most successful Premier League midfielders of all time. And here we go again. So yeah, for me, I don't think there's much really to dwell on. They've got some great money out of these other players that they've sold as well, even like 30 million for João Cancelo when they haven't wanted him for a long time now. I think it's really smart. So I think, again, it's a B.
Yeah.
I think that's
I'm happy to do that.
I'd go a bit harsher just because I think they have left themselves vulnerable at centre forward.
Yeah, true.
They
are after
that is a completely good point.
They needed Alvarez last season. They did need him. Like there was a point in the last season where people were like, Alvarez is the best player in the league. Like they needed him. And also, they didn't have the best underlying numbers in the league last year. For pretty much the first time in like Pep's tenure there, they didn't have the best underlying numbers in the league. And this window doesn't really reflect that. You know, like you'd have thought that Pep would be like, I've recognised that there was a problem last season because like fundamentally we should be better than Arsenal. Like not just like win the league over them, but be like way better than them in every regard, which is what they were always trying to do with Liverpool when Liverpool were right there with them. So in a way, I think that was like slightly risky. But they could, I guess they still have time. But still, you know, like as Henry says, like, well,
they linked that like 19-year-old
Furuhashi as well, right?
But
But you know, like maybe they got a plan for a youth player. But like, but I think Gundogan, you know, is just like fantastic, and like the rest of the window is good. It's just that one point where I think like
in the past, and Haaland can get injured, like we've seen.
And in the
before.
past, they had wingers who could play up front. Yeah. You know, like they played Sterling there. Like Mahrez got tons of shots. Yeah. Like they had guys who could sort of deputise in that position. Now they don't have any of those types of players anymore. Their wingers are real wingers. Like Doku and Savinho are real wingers.
It's like sticking Foden up top, I guess, kind of thing, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and they'll still score goals. Like it's not going to be a problem, but it is a.
It's an issue.
It could be a problem.
C+.
And especially considering like Haaland's injury record, like. Isn't immaculate.
It is far from immaculate.
Quite quickly mentioning, Everton have sold Newcastle to Marseille. €4 million alone, then €4 million.
Nasty bastard club.
Yeah, literally. Okay, then from City to United, they've been busy in this window, spending €164 million. Lenny Yoro, €62 million. Injured, out for 3 months. Matthias de Ligt, €45 million. Joshua Zirkzee, 42.5. Mazraoui from Bayern, €15 million.
Oh, that's good.
They sold. Greenwood obviously has gone to Marseille. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Willy Kambwala, they got €10 million to Villarreal. Hannibal has gone to Burnley. They've sold a few other youngsters as well, basically.
McTominay as well.
McTominay, yeah, very true. McTominay will be going to Napoli.
And they might shift Sancho.
Sancho could be on the way. They could be possibly bringing in Ben Chilwell and Sterling.
I love the idea they're going for like 3 injured left backs who are all going to just like slot in for.
Yeah, I saw a lot of United fans saying if that happened...
Still end up playing Dallo there.
I saw a lot of United fans saying, look, if Chelsea want to sort out some sort of deal or whatever for Sancho, which again, I wouldn't necessarily be doing myself, go and ask for like I mean, they were saying, go and ask for like Carney Chukwuemeka. Obviously, this a young talent who could have huge potential. I don't know where he'd actually fit in that side.
Do it.
But like, at least
Ugate's going to get done as well.
Ugarte, yeah, very true. Ugarte. So that they have actually spent a lot more there. So that Ugarte deal's like, isn't that like?
It's going to take him to like 220. Yeah, it's going to be. I think actually it's less than that. I think they're talking like 45, 50, which is an okay price. It's more than I'd spend, but it's fine.
Not too bad there, but still that would take it to about 200 million euros. So what do you make of United's window? Because I genuinely don't think it's too bad. I think beforehand we said basically every position they need someone, and it's very tough to go and do that. But they've done a very good job.
I mean, they've done really well. They've
brought in 2 centre backs, one who has incredible potential. I know he's injured out at the moment. De Ligt, I think, will do fantastic. I mean, they should have started him really against Brighton. Xerxes, I think, has in the 2 games we've seen been okay. The Fulham game obviously did very well.
Did a goal.
Mazraoui's probably been actually their best signing so far. He was really, really good at right back. So I think
Ugarte
we'll see. Yeah,
central midfield, like just a terrier, goes and wins the ball. Not amazing in the tackle. I would be interested to see how many tackles he loses in the Prem, because like in the Champions League he wasn't great in that regard, and I don't think he's much of a passer. But like, is it going to shore up the defense, which has been a big problem? Yeah, like I think this is a pretty solid window. Like I don't think they've hideously overpaid for anybody. I think this is like a B. I think this, and to be honest, it's been a long time since you could give a United window anything other than like an F. Yeah. So like this is good. This is a good start. They need to do another 2 or 3 of these windows, but like adding some useful parts into the squad, I think is just like smart. Like, yeah, there are things I wouldn't have done here. Like, would I have got Ugarte? No, I probably would have like gambled on another couple of guys or something, because I still think they're quite short numbers wise.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's good. And like and obviously as well, like Ten Hag kind of likes Diallo playing on the right, so like he obviously thinks that's less of a problem. So whatever, I'm fine with it. Like I think United fans should be quite happy.
I think they are. I think they are as well, genuinely. I'm happy to do a B. Henry, you're happy with B, aren't you?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, Newcastle United then. We'll steam through these last few. Lewis Hall officially joins for 33 million euros. They brought in the Forest goalkeeper for like 23 million euros.
Pure corruption.
What's his name, Zach?
Vlacho Dimos. They obviously brought in Usla as well, the 21-year-old from Sheffield United, 11 million euros. Lloyd Kelly they got on a free, and they also signed John Ruddy for for free, who's now 37 years old.
This is pretty bad, to be honest.
It's a shocking.
Yeah, they sold Elliot Anderson. I think it was like 35 million pounds.
Really good.
Jakob Minter.
PSR moves
to Brighton for around £30 million. Matt Ritchie left on a free. Yeah, the others.
They could have just kept Minter, and their right wing issue would have been like solved.
I think was Minter PSR as well. Like they kind of had to sell.
Yeah, they had to sell. Well, they didn't have to. They could have sold somebody else. But they, I don't know. I guess they've kept like Bruno.
They got a good fee, I guess you could argue. They've kept someone that hasn't necessarily played in the Prem.
Yeah, but they're at a position of need for them, and it wasn't for like earth-shattering.
And they're going to probably go and spend 60 odd on someone, aren't they?
Like getting 35 for Anderson, I think is really good, but getting like 30 for Minter, I don't think is particularly good.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like if they now go and spend like 70 on Gay as well, I think that's really dumb. But like they're not in the Champions League, and they've got Tonali coming back. They've kept Isak. They've kept Bruno. Like sure. They'll be all right. Like I'm quite bullish on their prospects for the season, but I think this is a horrible window. Horrible. And if they do 70 mil on Gay, I don't know if that makes. I think that makes my rating worse, if anything.
D-, F, E.
They've done a lot of PSR like fake accounting.
They sold 2 promising players and replaced it with
Trippier might be leaving as well.
Not much.
This is like an E.
There's not a single signing, I think, that improves their starting 11.
Really. Which is fair enough.
Which is just, Lloyd Kelly on a free is the best bit of business they've done, and I'm not even that bothered by it.
Yeah, you can't really count Lewis.
So I think it's an E.
Yeah, again, if they'd done no business this summer and just had kept like Minter and stuff, they actually would be better than this. So maybe it's an F actually.
Okay, there we have it. Nottingham Forest. Let's get ready. There's a few players here, guys. Elliot Anderson, Milinkovic, Ramon Sosa, David Carmo, Jota Silva scored a great goal yesterday. Marco Stamenic, Carlos Miguel, the 6'8" goalkeeper.
Carlos Miguel.
Yeah, who was
Love it.
huge. Eric da Silva Moreira, €1 million. Alex Moreno, loan. Then Forest have sold Nikate for basically €32 million. They got a really good fee there.
That's mad.
But then am I right in saying they sold him on? No, maybe it was different. That was another transfer I'm thinking.
They sold him and Mongala, right? Didn't they, to Lyon? And then Lyon have now sent Mongala to another Premier League side.
But they've sold him to them.
Orel Mongala's going somewhere else.
Maybe that's the rumour. He's going to Everton.
Lyon spent all this money.
That's the rumour. Yeah. Everton.
Lyon has spent all this money and then subsequently put their entire team on the transfer list. They were
it's amazing.
I don't quite understand what they've done.
Mangala, we're right. Yeah, €23 million, and I'm pretty sure he's being linked to Everton. We mentioned the keeper that obviously is going to Newcastle. Joe Worrell went to Burnley for 5.9. Frula went back to Italy, Bologna for 4.5 million.
Which I think,
euros.
but I always think it's a bit of a red flag when like a Champions League team says we can get a use out of this player, and a team fighting relegation in the Premier League is like, nah, we don't want him. And we're only getting $4 million for him. That seems odd to me.
What do you think of Forest's transfer window then? Because I think generally, the Elliot Anderson move actually isn't too bad. Like I know people will say
I like Elliot Anderson,
and like there is a level of like PSR to it. However, they've also got a good player in there.
Moreno, good loan. Elliot Anderson, good player. Milenkovic, excellent player. They still want a forward. If they go and get one of the forwards thereafter, who are apparently Santiago Jimenez,
he said no.
Brian Brobby. If they get Brian Brobby off Ajax, that'll be bananas. I will love that. He's so good. I don't know. That's all right. That's fine. Yeah. And they've got quite a fun front line.
C+?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've actually ended up doing, like, again, I think I put them close. I can't remember if I put them in my relegation or I put them close to relegation.
I think it's the definition of like the proof will be like in the pudding. But we will just have to see, because a lot of these players you won't have seen a lot. Yeah. Like there's a few stars within there. As you said, Jota Silva, they loved him, and was he in Estoril in Portugal?
Yeah. He was at
Victoria Guimarães. Yeah, so yes, they loved him. Super exciting. So we'll just have to wait and see. But in principle, it's very much like a mid-table window for me. It's a C.
Right. And if they can finish mid-table, I think they're biting hand off for it.
Yeah.
Considering
they would be delighted.
Considering all things. C plus.
How many more have we got?
Not too many. I think we've got literally
all the W's.
I think we've got 4 left, and we'll steam through them.
All right.
Southampton, the big ones was obviously Taylor Harwood-Bellis, Flynn Downs, Cameron Archer, Matthias Fernandez, Ben Brereton Diaz, a few others, Ronnie Edwards, Nathan Wood, Sugawara. Apologies.
I like that one.
As well, €7 million there. They've spent nearly €100 million on transfers.
Japanese fullback.
They sold the big ones. Carlos Alcaraz went to Flamengo. Did not actually know that transfer happened. Basically, there's a few others in there, but roughly their window coming in. Good centre back in Taylor Harwood-Bellis was obviously on loan with them last season.
He's a very championship moves.
Flynn Downs, another one who was on loan with them last season, brought him in. These guys were like, I guess they know the system. They know what everything's going to happen. Cameron Archer. I think with them it's going to be the goals, isn't it? Like they've also brought on loan as well. Sorry, Leslie Chukwu from Chelsea.
C.
Okay, there we have it.
I still think they'll probably go down.
Yeah,
but like if they stay up, great. Then I'll reevaluate.
It's the goals where I just struggle to see.
Which has been the problem with which we were saying about Southampton 8 years ago. How are they going to score goals?
Yeah, ever since they sold Danny Ings and Pele when he was up top. Okay, Spurs. Dominic Solanke, €64 million. Archie Gray, €41 million. Wilson Odebert, €29 million. Lucas Bergville, €10 million. Min-Hook Yang is €4 million. He's
a winger, right?
Yeah, he's an 18-year-old right winger, but I guess we don't know too much about him just yet. Sold Skip, Emerson Royale, and Joe Rodon.
Okay, so that's 3
good sales.
Yeah, got in total €50 million.
They've overpaid for a lot of their transfers.
I think this is actually one of the most interesting windows. I think they bought. If you look at the age of most of the players they bought in,
only
their investments. Bergvall is hugely rated.
Archie Gray is ridiculous.
Burnley are furious that they've got rid of him.
He was good.
Archie Gray as well. Leeds were furious, and then Solanke, I think, just looks like such a natural fit at centre forward for them. So, for me, this is a B+. I think this is a great window, and I think they're only going to get better. Are they still a bit light in certain areas of the pitch? Potentially, Højbjerg's gone as well, hasn't he? Højbjerg went to Marseille.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, Ryan Sessegnon left, Ivan Perisic, Ndombele, Eric Dyer,
yeah,
Tanganga.
Fine. Good. They've got rid of all players that weren't
going
to play.
It's actually been a really, really good house clearing.
Yeah, I do.
I think this is a B+, A-. Like, I think I'm not sure about Odobert. Like, I have big question marks about him.
Only 19.
I have big question marks about it. Yeah, but sure. For the future, fine. But for now, questions.
Money,
like, these are transfers for the future, except for Solanke, which is 100% a transfer for now.
Yeah.
But I like all the signings. I think they've overpaid for quite a few of them, but that's not really a problem because they had loads of PSR space. Yeah. So I think this is really, really good. I think it's nowhere near the quality of Brighton's window, but this is significantly above the window that every other big club has had in the Premier League, I think.
And this is also, you'd probably say, back-to-back windows now, which have been really positive. Last summer, they had a very good window, brought in a lot of kind of players of need as well. Really solid. Now this one, really solid.
The only thing I'm worried about Spurs is if you take that Leicester game, for example, 1-1, they're looking for a way to turn that game around. They're just throwing on youngsters and Bergvall, who then gets screamed at by Vicario, Archie Gray. I wonder if they've got some absolute game changers on their bench, because I still don't think someone like Brennan Johnson is that good. So there are concern that for me is if their starting 11 isn't working, how can they really change the game at the moment? That's my only concern. But again, some of these signings for the future, brilliant. And I do think Solanke and Richarlison is an interesting strike duo now to go into the season with.
Well, we'll see how long Solanke's
and they can get
out
more money
for
out of Kulu as well.
Yeah, true. Okay, West Ham, Max Kilman, 47 million euros. Somerville, 30 million euros. Fulkrug, 30 million euros. Luis Guilherme, the young right winger, 23 million euros. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, 17.6 million euros. Obviously, some of these don't include the add-ons and such. Wes Fotheringham, free transfer. Guido Rodriguez, free transfer.
Good.
Who else? That's essentially it. Todibo, loan transfer.
That's really good.
With a possible move
That's
as
really
well.
good.
And they sold Flynn Downs, Saeed Benrahma, Thilo Kerrier, and Nathan Trott. Apparently, they sold about 50 million euros, spent around 144 million euros. Boy. Feel like they've brought in some good players.
This is a good window.
It's a great window.
Not really. I know you're not a massive fan of the Fulkrug move, but more so for the long term.
I'm not a fan of the Fulkrug move. I'm not a fan of the Kilman price.
I use that one.
There are a bunch of things that are not perfect about this, but with imperfect means, this is a pretty good window.
Yeah.
I like the majority of these players. I think Somerville's fantastic signing at a really good price. I think Wan-Bissaka is kind of a weird one for more of a possession-y manager. That feels like it would have made more sense for the Moyes West Ham, but I think he's a good player. So actually, I think this is pretty good. I'd say B- for this.
Yeah, ooh. I'm happy with that. Would you say a little bit lower?
Oh no, higher. I think it's a B+. I think they've actually strengthened throughout the side. They've got Todibo and Kilman, which has the future of that back line. That's two just solid West Ham-esque centre-backs, which I really like. And not to echo Pat too much, but yeah, I mean, it's good. I think the free guy they got in from Real Betis,
Rodriguez,
that's so good, just to help shore up that. And they get another year out of Paqueta before, as to quote Pat, he's banned forever. So yeah, but I like everything that they've done this summer.
A couple of signings there as well with a nod to the future. Obviously, the Brazilian right winger and also Somerville. Somerville's also a signing for now as well. But those guys, 18, 22, they are covering for that time too.
Can I make a request? If anybody watching this has a compilation of Lucas Paqueta trying to get booked in all those games that he betted on, please send it to me. Because every now and then I see a little clip of him trying to get a booking in a game, and it's really, really funny.
Did you see him recently run out from the wall?
Run out from the wall and dribble away, and the ref tackles him. But I was just this is incredible. It's so blatant. It's incredible. Like, so please send me that if someone has one.
We forgot to add as well, obviously, Ramsdale to Southampton.
That's good. That's good.
Loan then possible.
Even with add-ons, they'd pay about what Arsenal paid for him in the first place. I mean, I don't know if his wages are something they can actually deal with, but like, I like that move. And if it's a loan, then and he can go back if they go down and they can't afford him. Great.
Yeah.
Good move.
Okay, last but not least, Wolverhampton. We've got Rodrigo Gomez from Braga, 15 million euros. Pedro Lima, right back from Brazil, 10 million euros.
From Brazil.
Tommy Doyle, 5 million euros from Man City, midfielder. Someone who was actually fantastic. Jorgen Strand Larsen was great against Chelsea. He's on loan currently from Celta Vigo. They have sold Pedro Neto, Max Kilman. They're also
they got crazy money for their sales.
They did.
And they got like 100 mil for those two guys, which is funny.
They are also bringing in the Brazilian DM, Andre. I was going to call him Arthur then for some reason.
Because there was another Brazilian DM called Arthur.
Sam Johnson is also joining as well for goalkeeper because there was those rumours that were going to sell. They were going to sell Jose.
Well, they wanted Ramsdale as well, didn't they? And it kind of fell apart.
They did want Ramsdale. So what do we make
he failed his Portuguese exam.
What do we make of the Wolves window there? I mean, you've got to remember as well.
What a finish to a long episode.
A club who, in the last few years, haven't spent or can't really spend a lot of money.
Yeah, I think
really bad
for me, it's a straight C-. I think, like, again, we'll have to see a lot, as with most Wolves signings. Will they turn out to be quite good? I actually think Daniel Podence coming back after a year away at Olympiacos, he's looked really sharp. I love Podence. I think he's a really fun player to watch. They've got Guedes back in as well, who's
oh my god,
he's been sort of I can't believe he's still there. He scored again. He scored in the Carabao Cup, this week. So there is something there in a player like him too. So they've got
going forward. They actually look okay defensively now, especially now they've lost Max Kilman. It looks a shambles.
They were really quite bad last season, and we were talking about them as like potential relegation candidates, and this window doesn't change that at all. Like it concerns me further. So they might well stay up and they might be okay because I think the promoted teams are really quite bad this year. But if they got relegated, I'd look at this window and be like, yeah, you didn't really massively change the odds that you'd get relegated, which is kind of what the window's for.
Yeah, right. True. So what, you happy? C-? Did you say, Henry?
I said C-. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
agreed.
Yeah, okay.
Why not?
We'll go with that then, guys. Please let us know what all you thought of I don't know what that was, but please let us know what you thought of the video and all these transfers and the ratings down below. Of course, a few more may break on the day, and I'm sure they definitely will, and we will talk about them in future. Guys, thank you so much for joining me, Henry Hill. Where can the lovely people at home catch you?
Yes, keep flooding over to Football Joe. We have short form stuff on all your socials, and we have our long quiz, which people are saying is the best quiz on the football internet. So yeah,
there you have it.
Go have a look. It's actually quite fun.
Amazing.
You might see these two on it soon.
That will be linked in the description below. Patrick Van Straten.
Buy my wife's book. You could pre-order it. I want to get it on the bestseller charts, which is actually surprisingly easy. It's called This Immaculate Body in the UK. In the US, it's called Creep, A Love Story. You can find it on Amazon. Zach will put a link in the description. If you send me proof that you have pre-ordered this book, which is really good, then I will record a personalised message for you. For every person who can send me proof that they've bought this book.
Wow. There we have it.
There you go.
Does that include me?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That goes for anybody who can show me proof that they've ordered this book. It's like 20 quid and it's going to be like a big release next year. It's like published through HarperCollins in the US, published through Fleet, an imprint of Little Brown in the UK. It's amazing. Buy this book and show me proof. Give me receipts, and I will send you a 10-second video, a 20-second video where I'll say hello or answer a football question for you, which I presume is what people would actually want. There you go.
There we have it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys next week.